Welcome, everyone. I'm glad you're joining us for this special interview. I'm excited to be joined today by Henry DeVries, and I'm going to be introducing him and kind of explaining how I met Henry in just a moment. But I just want to welcome everybody to this interview today. I know in our current environment, when this is being recorded, we are in the midst of the COVID-19 crisis, and social distancing is everywhere. No one has any clarity, at least not with any concrete understanding of when or how this is exactly going to evolve or what's in the future. But what I do know is that it's never a bad time to be sharpening your sword, and it's never a bad time to be studying people who have had successes and learning from both their successes and, challenges that they've overcome. And so being someone who works really hard to practice what I preach, I'm really thrilled to be joined by so many experts on this interview series. And today is no different. So congrats out there to everybody who's listening. I know you'll find a lot of value in the interview today. I met Henry DeVries at a session in Middle Tennessee, close to Nashville here where I live. And he and a colleague were doing a special session on how to grow your business with a book. I'm not going to steal any of Henry's thunder related to that type of content, but suffice it to say, that seminar, that presentation, that workshop that I attended, I think I walked away with, I know I walked away with pages and pages of notes filled with not just abstract ideas, but specific tactics and strategies that I've already started to implement, and they've worked really, really well. So, and here's the irony of that is I don't even have my first book yet, and so don't tell Henry I said that, because he'll keep making sure that I get that changed, and I'm working on it, Henry. But at any rate, there was tremendous wealth in the presentation that he gave, and different ways that I could leverage that content, that information, even without a book. And I know you'll get tremendous value from the interview today. So without any further ado, I've talked enough. I want to introduce my friend, Henry DeVries, who is the CEO of Indie Books International. Henry, thank you for coming on and welcome.
Scott, it's so exciting to be here and to talk about marketing with a book and a speech.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Henry, maybe just give a highlight, the general overview of who you are, what you do, what Indie Books International is about. And, I think your origin story is quite fascinating as well. So feel free to kind of let everybody know how you came to be where you are today.
Well, thanks for asking. So I'm the CEO, Chief Encouragement Officer at Indie Books International. I work with independent consultants who want to attract high-paying clients by marketing with a book and a speech. I learned through research that the number one marketing tool for a consultant is a book, and the number one marketing strategy is a speech. As a professional speaker, I speak on Persuade with a Story. Human brains are hardwired for stories. So if you want to persuade somebody to give you cooperation, job prospect, a prospective client, an investor, you better have a good story. So in the last 10 years, I have either been a ghostwriter, editor, publisher for more than 300 business books.
Wow.
12 with my own name on them, and including an international bestseller from McGraw-Hill, How to Close a Deal Like Warren Buffett. Now in Chinese. So I've got that going for me.
There you go.
And I find people who work with me, they report that they get much more impact and influence. And then on a personal note, I'm a baseball nut. I have visited 43 Major League Baseball parks, and I have 2 to go before I touch them all.
That's awesome. That's fantastic.
So, Mark LeBlanc, best-selling author Mark LeBlanc, past president of the National Speakers Association, and I, we teamed up as buddies about 10 years ago, and we started doing marketing with a book and speech summits around the country. We've done 100 now. We had been through many. My job at the time was I was the assistant dean for continuing education at the University of California, San Diego. I was Dean DeVries. And 6 years ago, I walked in to the higher ups office and said, I love the university. I love what we're doing. I love these consultant authors more, and I need to spend the rest of my career helping them get their ideas in print and shine a spotlight on their ideas. It'll attract clients. It'll give them impact. It'll give them influence. They thought I had a mental breakdown. They actually made me talk to the head of HR, and I was obviously being quizzed to see if I had a lapse, because I basically had tenure at the university. So I was getting a six-figure salary, and they were giving me, at least one day off a week to help consultants with books and all that. And so they had no idea. And they said, oh, do you want another leadership position at the university? Is it something else? And I said, no. I was 56 at the time we started that. We have over 200 titles out there. I was helping to ghostwrite books on the side for consultants, and then they were frustrated in getting them published, either getting their deals with publishers or independently publishing them. So Mark LeBlanc and I formed an indie publishing firm that helps consultants smooth the way to get a book that'll attract clients and put money in the bank, and also give them, as I keep saying, impact and influence. So that's our origin story.
That's fantastic. I will remind everybody that Mark LeBlanc was on this interview series as well. So if you didn't catch Mark's interview, be sure go back and check that out. Henry, this is, I think the story is fascinating. I think a lot of folks, and probably why the other leaders there at the university were kind of wondering, if you had lost your mind a little bit. I think a lot of people believe that it's really difficult to get traction as a consultant, as a speaker, as an expert, as a thought leader. You were basically saying, I'm going to give up this, by all other objective criteria, this good job, which you did enjoy, to go do something else that you knew would fulfill you even more. And a lot of people would look at that and say, well, that's too risky. I don't even know how I'd even get any traction doing my own thing. And obviously, what you and Mark have done at Indie Books International, being able to grow that business substantially, being a thought leader, an expert and speaker and author yourself, you've clearly had to overcome those challenges about getting business, right? Getting that traction. And you mentioned, a book is the number one tool and a speech is the number one strategy. Can you maybe break that down a little bit more in terms of what can experts do now? What are some action items or tactics or strategies that they can implement to help get traction? I mean, especially in today's world, right? With everything we're facing, things have changed a little bit, or things have changed a lot. So just some insights in terms of what thought leaders can do to get traction in terms of growing their business.
I'm here to shatter the good work myth. There's a myth out there, and it's passed around by well-meaning people. Like, do you want more clients? Do good work.
Right, yeah.
And you'll be noticed. Like there is some good work Zeus in the clouds who's looking at consultants and saying, oh, I'm going to reward this one, and I'm going to send thunderbolts to that one. It just isn't true. When I formed a company 20 years ago, I went and asked people, what do I do? And they said, do good work, and the rest will take care of itself. Like Field of Dreams, build it, and they will come.
Right.
It's a great movie. It's a lousy strategy. So here's what you need to do. If you just are in business and trying to do good work, you're taking a commodity strategy. I, too, am an HR consultant. I, too, am a management consultant. One lawyer I said, so what kind of law do you practice? And he said, I practice rent law. Whatever law pays the rent, that's the law I practice.
Wow, yeah.
Okay, I got to have some change here. So people who hire us to solve problems have a problem of who do I trust? And they trust someone who provides valuable information in writing and speaking that helps them solve their problems in general. Then they hire those people for the specifics. Let me say that again. You are generous in providing information to help people in general, and then they hire you for the specifics. One attorney I tried to help, he was a college buddy, and he was struggling, and I took him into my library and I pulled out 8 books and I said, here, read these 8 books and do what they said.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, no, I want to hire the person who knew which 8 books to pull out of the library.
Wow, yeah.
And have them apply it to my situation. That's your clients too. The book is your best thinking, your best problem-solving thinking in general. There is a myth that, oh, well, then I'm going to get discovered because I wrote the book. Books do not promote authors. Authors promote books. And in the promotion of the book, people want to have conversations with you. And those meaningful conversations about how would you solve their problem is what leads to clients. And I said I wanted to win the Nobel Prize in marketing for my consultant marketing. Now I want to be the patron saint of consultants.
I love it. Well, I would, I don't know how that would work, Henry, or how that does work, but if there's a petition or something, I'm happy to sign that and spread it around as well. So.
Yeah. I'm looking for the process. I know the process.
Okay. This good work myth that you just busted, I've been taking notes on just about everything you said, and that is so true. And there's also this I too am trap, right? I too am this, I too am that.
Yeah, I'm a marketing consultant too.
Right. Well, so I feel guilty. I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable and transparent with everybody who's out there listening. I was literally on a call, and maybe you can speak to this and how a book or how writing in general, being an author, can fix what I'm about to describe, right? Could preempt what I'm about to describe. So I was on the phone with a new client, and I'm doing some consulting work with this new client, and that's great. And they came on our virtual Zoom meeting a few days ago, and we were talking about what they were doing and some other marketing work, and they have another marketing person that they're working with, and I'm sort of more of a strategist, business strategist kind of role that I'm playing there. But the reason I'm playing that role is because the decision maker, my client, the CEO who I'm working with, did not know that I too was a marketing consultant. And so when he said, we just hired this firm to do this, this, and this related to business development, I'm on the strategy side. We just hired this firm, business development. I said these words, Henry. I said, well, I'm a marketing consultant too. And that's part of the business that we do. And the reality was he just didn't know that. He didn't have that understanding. I had not done a good enough job demonstrating to him my full scope of value. And I've got to tell you, when saying it, I felt commoditized, right? I was like, well, that didn't really help me anyway. And then, so there were 2 lessons there, right? 1, I fell into the commodity trap. And 2, I didn't educate my client from the beginning on all the different ways that I can provide value. Maybe talk about either one of those if you have insight on either one.
You didn't give that client a copy of your book.
Touché, sir. Yes.
Your book that would have laid out your expertise, your strategy, the different ways you can do that. It's not, I don't mean to push you under the bus, Scott, I like you, but it's not your prospect's job to know everything you do.
Right.
And it's not their job to remember you.
Yep.
It's your job to remind them.
Yep.
And it's your job to educate them by being generous with information.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point you could have said, oh, I know we're doing business strategy. I wanted to get you a copy of my latest book or my latest article. Mm-hmm. Now, you never call yourself a thought leader.
Okay.
You wait till somebody else does it. I've been very honored that Forbes.com calls me a thought leader on brand strategy.
Nice.
And they pay me money. They paid me money for 2 years to write a weekly column on brand strategy, the different aspects of it. Mm-hmm. So getting published, not only in books, but as a regular column. So you could have sent that prospect, oh, well, let me give you, I wanted to share one of my columns. Every week on LinkedIn and Facebook, I'm sharing, my latest column on this subject. Mm-hmm. So
there you go.
You don't even have to be published in Forbes. You could be published on LinkedIn.
Of course, yeah.
And share that. So it's just, we need to shine a spotlight on what we're doing, and that reflects to these people so that they know.
I see. Yep, that makes sense. When it comes to writing a book, I know a lot of folks who are listening to this maybe already are authors of a book. They may have maybe working on a second or third book, but probably a much larger number are aspiring authors, right? They, as independent professionals, they understand maybe even the value of having a book, but maybe speak to that just a little bit. Maybe two aspects, Henry: the value of having a book, and then I think a lot of independent professionals will say, "Oh, I really need a book. I understand the value of it." And they start to try to figure it out on their own. And I can only imagine the number of pitfalls and mistakes that are possible in terms of trying to do that yourself. So any guidance that you can share with the folks out there who are thinking about creating their own book, and what the value points are. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have some more myths and misperceptions to cover on that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's stipulate, as the lawyers say. I will stipulate that the book is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
It'll give me credibility. It will help with lead generation. It'll help open doors for speaking, that only an author will be allowed to speak in that venue.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, okay, we got that, but we got to get the book done. So there are 3 ways to get a book done. One is to hire a ghostwriter. This is somebody who does the heavy lifting for you, writes for you. It's 10 times more expensive than most people need to pay.
Mm.
The other one, and this is the myth of the rugged individualist, the American rugged individualist myth, that I'm going to go off alone in a cabin and not come out till the book is done. I call this the misery myth. It's after the Stephen King movie and novel, Misery,
Yeah.
on how to get it done. I don't recommend it. Writing is a team sport.
Mm.
What you need to do is get something called a developmental editor. That's not a copy editor for when the manuscript's done. This is a co-creator who will co-create the outline for the book, the title, the subtitle, what are the chapters, what are the stories that they should be, what's working in the book, what's not working.
Mm-hmm.
So they're giving you qualified feedback every step of the way. They're also like your gym buddy. Ooh, I got to talk to my developmental editor this week. I better get something done.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, oh, well, client work, I got the Bixby account. I'll get to it next week. It's like diets. And I'm guilty. Oh, I'll diet tomorrow, next week, next
Mm-hmm.
month. Then a year goes by and you go, oh, gee, I still got, have you heard about the COVID-19? The COVID-19 is the number of pounds we're going to gain because of this.
Yeah.
We're all looking at carbs as the solution, and they're not.
Right.
The other myth is like the publishing myth. I find there's 3 ways to get published, and most people think traditional publisher. Henry, you're with McGraw-Hill, Yeah, a traditional publisher, you have to convince them you're going to sell 10,000 copies of a book in a year.
Right, yeah.
And then they will give the privilege of handling the money for you and keeping 85% of what that book makes and giving you 15%.
Mm.
And it's a myth that a publisher does anything to promote your book. They don't. Traditional.
Yep.
So that leaves indie publishing and self-publishing. I call self-publishing the S word. It's a dirty word because it's like what crazy grandpas do. Don't ever say your book is self-published. At the very least, you should indie publish it yourself. Indie publishing is the hybrid between traditional and self. You get experienced people to help you produce the book. You retain the lion's share of all the money the book's going to make.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
you retain the intellectual property. With my Warren Buffett book, anything that book makes now, foreign rights, movie rights, anything, I get half.
That's great.
When I can catch McGraw-Hill and prove that they have my money.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I said now in Chinese, what's the currency of China? Is it the yuan?
Something like that, yep.
Yeah. I haven't seen any yuans come from that deal. So publishers are not your friend, just like banks are not your friends. If there's any bankers on the line, forgive me. It only took me 2 months to get my credit line approved. It only, this paper and that paper, and it only took, 6 weeks to get my SBA loan approved. I get it. It's a transaction. They're not your friends. Publishers are not your friends. bring the book out indie for the first one, and then I recommend get a traditional publisher later, so you can say, oh, my Stanford University Press book or my McGraw-Hill book, Simon & Schuster book.
Yeah.
We help our authors do those deals too.
Yeah.
I think your starter book is an indie published book. It's faster, you'll make more money, and you'll have more impact and influence.
That's a really important distinction, because I know a lot of the conversations that I've had with clients and colleagues alike is this question about, well, if I indie publish versus finding a traditional publisher, I'm not going to be taken as seriously. And in my experience, Henry, in terms of, I'm an avid reader. If we were on camera right now, you'd see behind me literally a wall of books, most of which I have read. I'm guilty of not reading some of them,
Yeah.
but the reality is, a lot of these experts and consultants and speakers and so independent professionals, they want that press label, right? They want that publisher label, and understandably so. But what I'm hearing you say is that's fine, everything in its time, right? When you're ready for that, and when it's really going to suit you and serve you, then go the traditional publishing route. Until then, go ahead and grow your business. If you want to really grow your business, you can absolutely do that in a very effective way with an indie book.
I started with 0 LinkedIn contacts.
Mm-hmm.
Publishers weren't interested in a guy with 0 LinkedIn contacts. I have over 10,000 now.
Wow, yeah.
I occasionally wrote for started with the San Diego Daily Transcript, 10,000 circulation. I moved up to the San Diego Union Tribune, 300,000 circulation Metro Daily. Now I've moved up to Forbes.com, which has 1 million visitors a day.
Yeah.
Well, when I was with the San Diego Daily Transcript, traditional publishers not interested in me.
Right.
Now that I have a platform with Forbes, very interested in me.
Mm-hmm.
I make more money independently publishing the book than giving it to them.
Yep.
So it's all part of the game. But most of your prospects, if the book has quality, if an indie publisher has made sure your book doesn't look crappy, that's a technical term in publishing. So it looks professional, it's crisp, it's edited professional, it follows something called the Chicago Manual of Style, the front and the back, it has the right people on the back who've endorsed it, it has the right forward on it, it looks, smells, and quacks like a book. That'll serve you.
Yep.
Not just saying, oh, Simon & Schuster or Penguin.
Right. Yep. That's great. This is very good, and kind of picking up on that specific point. So an author has an indie book. Let's make that assumption, because you've talked about what an aspiring author can do. Let's talk about the author who now has the book in hand. Maybe for our folks out there who already have a book or they're working on it, and they've got it in hand. Top 2 or 3 or however many strategies. Top three. Go for it. Top 3 strategies for leveraging the book. Yeah.
I'll go 3, 2, 1.
Mm-hmm.
3, get published. So get on LinkedIn, get blogs, get people like me and Forbes.com to write about you. Mm-hmm. You want to pitch me on a Forbes column about you that has something to do with brand strategy, marketing, business development, something like that? Henry at INDIEBOOKSINTL.com. Pitch me. But get people to write about your ideas, your advice.
Mm-hmm.
2, speak. Get invited to speak. And in today's world, I used to speak twice a month. I'm speaking 8 times a month now on Zoom and podcasts.
Wow, yeah.
And I'm being invited to this. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you.
I do 2 of my own. There's other ones, but those just didn't happen. I networked to get invited to speak. It's what you have to do. You mine your relationships. The world doesn't discover you even if you're an author. Yeah. Number 1, small-scale seminars, a minimum of 2 a month, showcasing around your expertise, your book. I do roundtables where I'm doing a roundtable Friday with 10 CEOs on a topic. I'm recording it, doing things. I'm with 10 CEOs. I'm doing one next week. Marketing with a Book and Speech Summit has gone virtual. Mm-hmm. It's on Zoominar. That's what I call it.
I like it.
And I have up to 25 seats. Mm-hmm. And I take up to 25 people on that. And you do that. Back when the future comes, in that crazy world where we actually get to travel and meet people, get 5 to 10 people in a room and have it as a problem-solving session for them. That's the number one thing you can do to build your business. Because from that comes meaningful conversations and no non-selling strategy calls with people to help them solve their problem. The more people you help in general, the more hire you for specifics. The other way I say it is, the more generous I am, the luckier I get.
Yeah, I love that, and those are fantastic. Thank you for sharing those. I love the showcase strategy, and it's affirming, Henry, to hear that you went from 2 speaking opportunities to 8 per month as well. And I would assume from a showcase standpoint, from hosting your own Zoominar, that's easier today. There's never going to be a substitute for live person-to-person interaction, right? We know that.
Sure.
But in today's world, it's got to be easier to host a virtual Zoom showcase or seminar than it is even to put it on a live one. And so you could do more of even though the quality of the relationship may take a little bit longer because you're not person to person, you can do more of them, right? You can have more exposure to more people. I think that's fantastic. So that's another thing that I'm putting on my list to get going at a higher level, because I'm not doing nearly as many of those as I should. So thank you.
Yeah.
We're coming up on time, Henry. I want to make sure that everybody who's listening to this can get direct access to you. And you were kind enough to share your email for folks who are maybe interested in having you do some writing for them on a Forbes column, which is fantastic. But if someone's interested in learning about Indie Books International, the services you guys provide, because you have A to Z services, right? You can do the whole thing with an author who's starting at zero, but you also have different services and solutions for people along the way. So feel free to highlight that, but I definitely want to make sure people know how they can get in touch with you if they want to have a conversation.
Thank you, Scott. We help people prepare, publish, promote a client-attracting book. So the preparing can start for as little as $1,000. I have a book blitz program. I also call it How to Be an Expert in 30 Days. So in 30 days, we can get a book direction going, 2 chapters. We can publish the chapters. We can do a Zoominar on the topic. We can put lots of evidence out there that you're an expert in this area. The publishing, we have different publishing options. Promotion, we stay involved with our books, and we help people as book strategists and make connections for them and get them to do different things. A free offer, a generous offer. If anyone would like a strategy call, I call them a book chat. If anybody wants a strategy call, either myself or my vice president, it's non-selling zone. We'll talk to you about your goals for a book, what assets you have. We find a lot of people have hidden assets. What your roadblocks are and how to get around and through and under and over roadblocks. And then finally, we'll help you get clear on how others have gotten from where you are right now to where you want to go. Again, that's just send an email to Henry at Indie, I-N-D-I-E, books, plural, I-N-T-L, short for international.com. Henry at indiebooksinternational.com.
That's great. Henry, that's very generous, as you mentioned, and kind. So thank you for being willing to do that and sharing that with the folks out there. It is time for me to do a book chat, Henry. So you'll be seeing my email come through probably later today. And thank you again, Henry, for joining me, being so generous with your time and your expertise, being willing to kind of pull back the curtain a little bit and share with everybody what you've learned over the years, having published literally helping authors publish hundreds of books, and obviously being an incredibly prolific author yourself. Thank you for sharing your thought leadership today. I really appreciate it.
Scott, as they say at Chick-fil-A, my pleasure. My books are my children. And like my children, I expect them to take care of me in my old age.
I love it. I love it. Well, I suspect that for the folks who are listening, you'll be able to birth some more some more children that can help take care of you there. But at any rate, I hope everybody received tremendous value from the session today. I know that if you were listening and taking notes, you absolutely did. And I would just encourage everybody, even if you're an existing author, the book chat might not be a bad idea. You might have another book in you, or get some insights that can help you with your existing book as well. And obviously, if you're an aspiring author, then absolutely take Henry up on his generous offer for the book chat and learn more about Indie Books International and the fantastic work they're doing there. I will look forward to being back with another wonderful thought leader who will have some more actionable, practical strategies to help you develop your business, especially in this really weird, chaotic time next time. And so for Smart Solutions Media, this is Scott Cantrell, wishing you all the best of success. Henry, thank you again.
Thank you, Scott.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening. I hope you got a ton of value out of this episode. And before we go, I want to thank the sponsor of our show, Smart Solutions Media. Smart Solutions Media empowers business owners, consultants, and other independent professionals to easily attract better prospects and transform them into long-term clients. If you're a B2B consultant or service professional and would like to start filling your pipeline with better quality prospects, visit us on the web at smartsolutionsmedia.com to learn more about what we can do to help you. Be sure to complete the short 2-minute accelerated growth scorecard you can find on the website, and you'll receive a complimentary strategy session where we'll give you specific insights and recommendations to help you attract high-value clients. Until next time, make sure you are consulting with authority.